Hi, AP World History students. This is Mr. Baskowski. Sorry I couldn't be there to teach you how to do footnotes. This is actually probably going to be better anyway because this video you can refer to when it's time to actually do drafting, and probably very few are ready to do drafting. So the first thing I want to point out to you is that you should notice on your screen that I am starting in Noodle Tools within the Projects tab. If you did what I recommended, really just didn't even recommend it. I told you how to do was create a Noodle Tools project. If you did that, this is going to be so much easier. If you did not do that, you're on your own. You're going to have to teach yourself Chicago style on your own. So let's go into my project itself, because the first step is actually getting all of your sources out. Even before you write a word of your draft, you want to set up your bibliography page. And so you can see these are all my citations that I found my research on for my glass commodities project. And the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to go to the printer button up here, and you're going to choose print or export to a Google Doc. Now, this is an opportunity for you to delete sources that you do not want included. Let's say you took notes from a source and you realized that it just really was duplicating information that you had somewhere else, or it just was not relevant information and you are not going to include it in your footnotes. Therefore, it should not be on your bibliography page. This would be a way for you to be able to exclude them ahead of time. But just know that you can export all of your citations and then just go and delete them after the exporting is done. So when you click the submit button, it will generate in perfect Chicago 17th edition style a bibliography page for you. Notice it is titled bibliography. It's not titled works cited, unlike MLA. Notice also that the citation itself is single spaced, but it is double spaced in between two different sources. One thing where it's similar to MLA is that it automatically has alphabetized things for you. So that is one of the beauties of Noodle Tools. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all of my sources. I'm going to copy it, and now I'm going to go into my draft, and then I'm going to start writing. Now you're going to see that I have actually started drafting a paragraph. That's to save us time here, but pretend that you're starting a blank document, and you would then want to go onto your second page, so you can do insert or hit enter a bunch of times. And now you can come onto your second page and you can paste your bibliography, and this will just keep getting pushed down as you go. And this is where, if you know, for example, that you are not going to use a source, you could highlight it and delete it if you want to. Okay, so now we're starting drafting and it's time to insert a source. And so let's look at what it looks like when you do that. So this very first sentence right here, you can see I have a footnote already in there. And so what will happen is when you insert a footnote, it'll come down to your footer and you'll be able to paste information for it. And you can see I have two simple footnotes in here already, and the second one happens to be there. But so let's actually go through the process of putting in a footnote. So first, footnotes, the footnote numbers actually go after the period of a sentence where it's used. So let's say I want to put a footnote right here. What you'll do is you go to insert, footnote, and notice it has dropped me down into the footer, and it has put a number 2 there. Remember, Joseph Byrne before was number 2, but because I decided to add an additional footnote, it knew to make Joseph Byrne number 3 on this page. Now I have a spot to actually put information in the footer. But if you notice, this footer information is not the same as your bibliography page. Notice William Gundenrath is written like that here, but on your bibliography page, it's Gundenrath, comma, William. So where do you get that information? Well, you can either learn Chicago style, which I've never done, or I can use Noodle Tools, where it's making my life a lot easier. So now I come back to Noodle Tools, and I have my project open, and I find the source that I want to actually put in a footnote. And so let's say the information from that sentence came from this source right here. These three little dots right here. When I click on it, let me move my big head out of the way. these three little dots will give you an option of a footnote format. And when I click on it, it pops up. Now, because this was from an ebook, it wants me to put in a page number. So it has a placeholder right there. Ebooks don't have a page number, so I'm going to have to do some editing after the fact for it right there. So you can put a space there um, to get rid of it, and notice it's there, but it's not there. So I'm gonna take this out, and I'm just gonna keep that as my placeholder so I know to go and delete it. So now what I do is the very first time that I ever use this source citation, I copy this. Notice I did not grab the one because it's not my first source, and because Google Docs automatically puts in the number that goes along with your footnote. So you want everything but the number right there. So I'm going to go to right click and copy. Oops. It looks like I'm just going to have to use my keyboard. All right, so I'm going to do Control C. And now I'm going to come back to my paragraph and I'm going to do Control V. And sure enough, right there, it filled in all of the information. And this is where I make the minor edit of just getting rid of this placeholder right there because there is no page number for me to put. And now I have a footnote. This footnote, the second one, aligns with this. Okay. So now I have three footnotes so far. Now is the tricky part, or the new part, I should say, when it comes to Chicago style, is that if when you use that any of these sources for a second, third, fourth, umpteenth time, you don't put this longer footnote format. There's a shorter footnote format that you might have remembered from the Noodle Tools page that we had open, which was right here. See how it says the shortened footnote option? So let's say I'm going to, and this is true for any of these sources. So let's say that I'm going to use the glass source again, and I'm going to put it right here. So I do the same thing. I go after the period. I go to Insert, Footnote. Now it brings me down to 4. You can see that right here. And now I need something to put in here. But in this time, I'm going to use the shortened footnote option. And notice there is no page number again, so I'm going to have to just go and delete that. So I'm going to highlight this right here. I'm going to copy it. Come back to here. I'm going to paste it. Now I just get rid of that page number placeholder. Get rid of that page number placeholder. And now this is the only tricky thing, just punctuation. Periods go inside of quotation marks. So that's how I changed that there. That's how you'd actually do it. But if it was a person's name, it would be a little bit different. You wouldn't have to deal with the quotation marks. But so that notice I have 4 citations. 3 of them are from different sources, but that fourth one has a shortened citation. If there was a page number, you would put the page number, and some of you are using books. And you would keep doing that all throughout. And as you go through your project, the next time you do Good and Wrath or Burn, you would put in the shortened version, and that's where you would need, once again, you would need Noodle Tools, and you would just do the same thing. So you would come down to Good and Wrath, and you would get the footnote format for Gundenrath. See how that's different there? That's what you would put for the shortened version. Now, the last thing that you need to be aware of is when you copy it, if you have copied and pasted a pre-format citation right here. So if you left it like this, and I should have highlighted this to you when you were in person, and it says footnote format, it's going to say, since you created the citation for this website via copy and paste or edited manually, you will need to construct the footnote format form manually. you got to do it yourself. So what I would recommend that you do is any of these where you have copied and pasted something that's pre-formatted, that you just recreate it and you put this information in the right boxes by doing a new source up here, and then you will see that you can do the footnote pre-formatting. Otherwise, you got to learn it on your own. You got to figure out, exactly what information go. Oops, yeah, that was a bad example because that one's pre-formatted. You would have to actually figure out on your own what actually goes in this shortened version here. And I don't know. I let Noodles do it for me. So that's how you do it. Also know that I'm going to put up some how-to videos that you can watch that really just reviews exactly what I just did here. If they make a reference to IBID, just know that IBID is no longer required for it, and you can just ignore that. Remember to use the shortened format for it because that's what Chicago's 17th edition said to do. After 16 editions, they said, all right, we don't want you to do IBID anymore. Okay, that's it. Take care. You can always stop by the Media Center if you have questions.